Time to get you caught up on the latest coronavirus developments. There are now more than 1.2 million cases in the U.S. 71,000 people have died as a result from this virus. Here in San Diego, 140 additional cases were reported positive, and that makes the total now 4,160 confirmed cases. And sadly, we have 6 new deaths to report, bringing the total to 150. But the good news, 2,284 people have recovered. Just a day after the county voted to approve a guideline for some businesses to reopen, a handful of local leaders are asking the state for even more types of businesses to begin operating. News 8's Chris Groh is live downtown, where a media conference wrapped up not too long ago. Chris?
Hey, good morning, Eric. And essentially what we saw was a group of mayors from El Cajon, San Marcos, and then a council member from San Diego, Scott Sherman, and then as well as some other business leaders. And what they're asking for is for non-essential businesses that have been closed due to regulations or just precautions and mitigation efforts to be allowed to reopen a lot sooner than what the state has in mind. Now, keep in mind that currently in California, we are in the second phase of the California governor's plan to reopen the state and the state's economy. That means that we are about to head to a point where certain businesses like bookstores, clothing stores, toy stores, and sporting goods stores would be allowed to reopen starting on Friday for phase 2, but for curbside pickup only. What these mayors wanted, especially Councilmember Scott Sherman wanted, was to see that they be able to open other stores that are not listed in this phase. They basically want to skip ahead because they feel like San Diego is ahead of the curve, so to speak, when you compare them to other cities and other counties. As Councilmember Scott Sherman put it, if the big box stores that are selling the same goods, the same equipment are allowed to be open, then why can't the mom and pop stores be open as well?
We've seen that with appropriate social distancing guidelines and protocols put in place with the retailers and that you know, the big box stores that have been allowed to be open, we've seen that those protocols work.
And that was in response to a question that we had for the council member, essentially saying if there is no vaccine and there is no cure at this time and businesses reopen, what would be different? What would prevent a surge? And council member says that he was very confident that the efforts that we've seen in stores that are open during this time, the efforts that they have undertaken to make sure that customers stay safe, that can easily be adopted by some of these smaller stores that are currently closed. Guys, back to you.
Chris, thank you. A lot of people are eager to get back to work. Meanwhile, President Trump now says the White House Corona Task Force will continue indefinitely, despite saying that they would be winding down. Skylar Henry has more details.
President Trump is honoring National Nurses Day and says America is defeating the coronavirus.
It's a tough opponent, but we're winning and we're starting to see our country come back. It's been a very exciting few days. We're starting to see it all come back.
During a trip to Phoenix Tuesday, the president acknowledged the coronavirus task force will be undergoing a change.
We're now looking at a little bit of a different form, and that form is safety and opening, and we'll have a different group probably set up for that.
This comes as new models show opening up states will lead to more deaths from the coronavirus.
We can't keep our country closed for the next 5 years. You know, you could say there might be a recurrence, and there might be, and you know, most doctors or some doctors say that it will happen, and it'll be a flame, and we're going to put the flame out.
President Trump tweeted this morning the task force will continue to work on vaccines, and Vice President Pence adds it'll also stockpile medical supplies for recurrences of the virus. President Trump was asked about the shortage of supplies during an interview with ABC News Tuesday.
Don't forget, the cupboard was bare. The other administration, the last administration, left us nothing.
But Dr. Rick Bright, who led the government agency in charge of vaccines, says he raised alarms in January and was ignored. Bright filed a whistleblower complaint alleging he told his superiors that the U.S. was woefully short on N95 masks and suggested putting together a disaster leadership group to address the pandemic. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
And Dr. Bright is now scheduled to testify before the House Energy and Commerce Committee, which is next Thursday, to discuss the whistleblower complaint. Eric?
Boy, today is going to be hot. Yeah, the hottest day of the week. So just how warm is it expected to get in some parts of the county? Let's check in now with News 8's Heather Myers. Sweating out there. A lot of people are right now for their afternoon, late morning jog.
Yeah, hopefully they already got the exercise out during the early morning hours and it was still cool, because I can tell I'm actually standing in a little sliver of shade here. The heat is on today. It's pretty warm, not just here for our Inland Valley communities, but just downright hot in the desert. So this is what I wanted to share with you. We are under a heat advisory inland until 9 p.m. Friday. So we got a few more days of this to go. Excessive heat warning also until 9 o'clock Friday in the desert. Dangerously hot. Some desert locations in the southwestern portion of the state could see temperatures as high as 110. So here are our current numbers, and we have swings all over the place. It's 68 degrees in Oceanside, but then just a few miles south of that in Carlsbad, it's 77. And then you continue south and we're at 80 at Lynbrook Field, 87 degrees in El Cajon and Poway. We're getting close to 90 for Escondido and Ramona, 80 right now on Mount Laguna, 97 degrees at the Sour and Borrego, or at 101 in Ocotillo. As we get into the afternoon, we'll be at 109, 109 degrees in Borrego. That would be extremely hot, smack dab in the middle of summer, let alone right now, and we're just at the beginning of the month of May. Our afternoon high temperatures along the coastline will stay in the upper 70s and low 80s, and then well into the 90s inland, 95 in Escondido, and expected to be that hot today in El Cajon. A few more high clouds into the mix today. Nothing that's obscuring the sunshine, though. Look at our desert. Over the next few days, we barely cool off. We're just going to shave off a degree every day tomorrow through Friday. And inland communities, 93 today, upper 80s for tomorrow and Friday. What does your Mother's Day weekend look like? We'll talk more about that coming right up.